Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode, the inaugural. I guess that's because it's not. Inaugural. The very first
the
episode,
maiden voyage.
There it is. The maiden voyage of Faction Wars: A New World podcast. I am one of your hosts for this show, Stephen Fontana, and with me is Taylor Allen, who is my default expert in all things New World. How are you, Taylor?
I'm doing excellent, Stephen. I'm very excited to get into this. I've been playing a lot of New World.
Yeah, this is really exciting, and you have been doing some stuff on TikTok regarding New World content, and I've been checking that out, and I could see how passionate you are, and I had this idea, like a bolt of lightning just strike me, like, hey, let's do a podcast. So let's strike while the iron is hot. And New World's been in the news quite a bit this past week, for good and bad, and I just think it would be a really cool thing to just sit here and just discuss Faction Wars. So, folks, Faction Wars is a New World podcast, is a podcast about the latest news, tips, tricks, and stories for New World. And I'm going to tell you what type of character build I play, and then Taylor will do that, and then we'll talk about the news. I am level 36. I use the life staff, and I use the spear. I absolutely love that my build right now. I'm kind of like, I feel like a dragoon, and I love it. And I love using the trippy. I don't use the spear throwing. I'm pure melee. And I actually followed your life staff build recently because I was not happy with my heals. And and I got an instant increase in my heals. Like, I couldn't do it to the full because I'm not level 60. But I followed it along pretty well, and folks, if you want to know what that build is, go check out Taylor on TikTok. It's one of his one of his recent videos. Taylor, what about you? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I hit level 60 about a week ago, I would say. And originally I started out playing Fire Staff Rapier. I went in, I played both the alpha, the closed beta, the open beta. I was loving Fire Staff Rapier. But as we got more of our friends in, we were doing expeditions, things like that. No one wanted to play healer. So at about level 35, 40, I completely took up the life staff, and have just like completely fallen in love. And then for my secondary weapon, I kind of flipped back and forth. I was using the hatchet for a while. And that was nice because it had a little bit of sustain. I wasn't super happy with the damage. I then flipped to Great Axe, and I've really been enjoying Great Axe. I feel like that combo is really nice. But actually recently, because of you, I decided to put the spear on. And I've been really, really happy with that change as well. I don't have the spear all the way up yet, but I've just kind of been messing around with what I have in that secondary slot, but primarily playing heals.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, the thing I like about the spear the most is it has crowd control abilities. With the sweep, you could sweep pretty much anything that's in 180 degrees in front of you, basically.
Yeah.
And with I forget what the move is called, but it's the one where you kind of like jump forward and slash. Anything that's in front of you will get hit, even if there's multiples in front of you, which is really cool. I really like that ability. And then I have the jump kick, which does the same thing, and it also stuns. I usually start the battle with the jump kick, get them stunned, get a couple of hits in, then sweep them so that they're on the floor. Then I stab them while they're down, which is a really awesome move. I just love it so much. And it's really helpful, especially when I use light armor. So I'm not I'm pretty spongy. Not spongy. I'm pretty glass cannon like. So having the the life staff as my true main, I would say, it makes for some really interesting combat scenarios because I play solo a lot, and I would chuck in one of those holy ground or whatever it's called. I forget what it's called.
Sacred ground.
The sacred ground. Yeah. I would throw that down right on the enemies and just go in there and just start whacking away with the spear, and I basically lose no health. And it's a really cool build. But
Yeah.
the best thing I think what's so cool about New World is that you can change all of that on the fly. You don't have to make a new character. You can respec at any time, once for free, but well, not once for free, but free below level 20. So you can really try a lot of things out.
And you can respec each of your weapon masteries for free.
Yep.
Under mastery 10, which
Yep.
is nice. So even if you hit max level, being able to play around with different things as you're trying out new weapons and stuff, I have taken advantage of that a number of times.
Yeah.
As I've wanted to try certain things and just not loved it. So
Yeah.
big fan of that.
My previous MMO experience, my deepest one is City of Heroes, and if you wanted to play with the different powers, you had to make a new character. That was just how it was. You can respec. It was easy enough to respec your character, but only within those powers. So you would pick your main attacking power, and then you would pick your defensive power, and if you didn't like the combo, you would have to delete your character or start a new one or whatever. And then, of course, they limited how many characters you could have on a server, which they do in New World as well. But it really doesn't matter. You don't need multiple characters in New World because you could literally just swap your playstyle on the fly, which I really, really enjoy.
Yep. And even at high levels, when you're respecing, for weapon mastery, it's a little bit more pricey because it takes like 200 Azoth, which... if you're running portals and stuff, you'll get that back quick enough, but it's still 20% of your total your total Azoth pool at max. But to respec at max level, it's like 500 gold. Like you can easily make that in a day. Bad. And so like you can really, kind of flip things around. And I've even since switching to heals have respec a couple of times. Just because I want to, kind of change my point distribution a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I was going 100% into focus and almost got, 300 focus, but then I was just doing absolutely no damage at all with my melee weapons. And so, I've kind of played around with that a little bit and ended up in a place that I'm pretty happy with now.
Yeah. All right. Let's transition here into News World. So we're going to find out what's going on in New World, what the news is. Taylor, take it away.
All right. Number one, Steven, last week, Amazon announced new Prime Gaming drops. So last week they released the Robin Hood skin set.
They sure did.
Which included the Robin Hood skin, the Blow Kiss emote, the Prime Blue die packs, as well as a couple of crest packs, as well as announced the upcoming Robin Hood pack, which will be launching this next week on November 9th, that comes with a bow, skin, more dies, and another emote. They also announced the next set of Prime drops that are coming November 23rd and December 7th, titled The Autumn King. And we don't know what those are going to look like yet.
Yeah. The next little couple of items is coming out on the 9th. That's the Robin Hood Pack 2. Yeah, that's the Autumn King. What's weird is that I feel like that should have been a Halloween thing.
I agree. I think they should have done that first, but I don't think I think they didn't want to get in the way of their actual Halloween skins that they put out.
Sure.
Yeah. And what they had there. So, maybe this is something a little.
Because what if it's like a pumpkin king thing,
or like a skeleton or
that would be
something like that, but.
It's just a dried up leaf. So your skin, it's a ghillie suit.
It's gonna end up looking just like Santa Claus.
Wrong season.
Yeah.
I've been very underwhelmed with the skins in the game. I just feel like there's a lot of people walking around looking exactly the same.
Sure. I think they need to get a better transmog system in place sooner rather than later. Because obviously you can like reskin your stuff if you buy a skin or you get one of the Prime Gaming drops, but they actually have some really cool like weapon and item skins that you can just get in the world. Like I very early on, I picked up a great axe that was like a big anchor, and so I was running around with this massive anchor that was my great axe, and it's just gone. I can't make my weapon look like that, even if I want to, have this like piratey theme. I feel like if they just added transmog in the game where if you pick up a weapon and you salvage it, you get the transmog for it.
That'd be
You
cool.
can make
Yeah.
your weapon look like that down the road. And I know Diablo eventually added things like that. Other MMOs have things. So I would hope that that's at least coming, but it would be nice to get a little more variety in the look and feel of things.
Speaking of things that are coming here, Taylor, we have some interesting changes coming.
Yeah, so over on the New World forum, one of the developers, screen name Zin Ramu, went into detail on some of the upcoming changes to PvP. They talked about territory control, war, and open world PvP. So currently, Steven, at level 60, unless you were doing faction PvP quests, there's no reason to flag for open world PvP. It's not very valuable. You don't really get anything out of it because you don't need XP anymore.
Right.
So they talked about that and how they're seeing level 60 players no longer flag, and they want to make that more enticing for them. So some of the things that they highlighted here were things like increasing your luck stat if you flag for open world PvP. So when you kill enemies or open chests, you have a higher chance of getting legendary or rare drops.
Can I interrupt you to ask you a question?
Sure.
So I don't do PvP. Mm-hmm. If you flag for open world PvP, can you just get attacked at any moment, or do you still have to agree to fight?
Yeah, you can be attacked at any time. So me and a couple of my company mates will actually go out, and if you lay down in bushes, you're harder to see when you're flagged for PvP. The icon doesn't show up as far away. And so we'll like lay down in some bushes or hide behind a wall or something and wait for other people doing PvP quests, and then kind of jump out and surprise them. It's pretty fun.
I have to transfer to your server because I need to experience more of this game. There's so much of this game, like the PvP stuff, and like the one of our next news bits that you have here. I have no idea what that even is. I'm still on the first level of the faction like token thing. Like I haven't even upgraded that. I don't know. I'm just doing a lot of side missions. I'm playing this game like I played The Witcher, where I'm just becoming way too overpowered for the story. There's really no point. But continue. Sorry, I was curious. No. Just the way the mechanic works. I wanted to know what the actual risk was. I know that you could you could fight other players, but like I'll accidentally hit somebody and they'll be like, "Hey, you're not flagged for PvP. Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to heal him. I'm using my healy stick." So
like, hey, knock it off.
Yeah.
Some other changes that they highlighted though was for level 60 plus players. If you kill another level 60 plus player, they can drop gear that will improve your high water mark, which is their gear score system. In addition, they talked about some potential open world activities that you can only do if you're flagged for PvP, some like environmental things that may pop up. So they said there's a number of things that they're working on to try and entice level 60 plus players into open world PvP more often. One of the other things that they highlighted was changes coming to war. And some of the big things that they talked about here was the fact that defenders are winning at a very high rate. In this little write-up from the developer, they said across all servers, defenders are winning about 80% of the time. Wow. They say they want to see defenders win more often. It should be really difficult to take a territory, but it sounds like they feel like that's a little bit too high. And obviously there are some things that factor into that, some of the exploits and bugs and issues with wars that are going on right now that they're working on fixing. But they said that they'd like that to come down a little bit, and they want to reward people for participating in war and have it feel like it's more rewarding. So
that makes total sense. That's part of these evolving MMO / games of service. Like, you have to see what is actually happening in the game on a massive scale to really understand how those mechanics are truly going to work. And that's kind of that's the one thing that makes me nervous about New World, because the player base dropped significantly over the last 2 weeks,
Sure.
2 or 3 weeks, and I'm scared that Amazon Game Studio might abandon this if the player count doesn't rise a little bit, but they also have to address a lot of these fundamental issues in order for that player count to arise. So it's like a chicken and egg scenario where I don't know what is going to happen first, and I am nervous about that. So I'm curious to see how quickly these changes can come and how much of an impact they'll truly have on the community in general.
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that goes unnoticed, because they're not very good at sharing this information on other platforms, is their developers and community managers are insanely active on their forums. They're in there responding to threads and explaining why some of these issues that are coming up are difficult to solve for,
Mm.
difficult to QA test for, and things like that. So, to their credit, one of their community managers, Luxandra, they are all over the place. They probably sleep 2 hours a day because they're just all over these forums. But the hard thing is, optically, it seems like they're not doing anything because once a week they'll tweet out patch notes, and once a week they'll post in the Reddit, the patch notes. Whereas, in their forums, they're way more active. They're interacting with the community and things like that.
Right.
So I think if they can kind of solve this communication issue, and get that information in front of more people by getting it on more platforms, it'll be easier for people to kind of understand, why these changes are taking a long time, or why these bugs pop up in the first place and things like that. So,
Yeah, and just having the name Amazon already gives people a bad taste.
yeah, 100%.
Just based on the mega monolith thing, mega corporation making a video game. Like, every decision is going to be under a microscope for this game right off the bat, and it's their first real release. Like they
Yeah.
don't have they didn't have the benefit of the doubt because of the Amazon name, and they should have, because it is their first foray as a cohesive unit to make something, and it's a massive thing that they're undertaking. And it's going to be it's going to be a really interesting balance, because like an EA, for example, who has been one of the surprisingly good developers over the past year and a half, with their decision making and their approach to PR and all that stuff. Like, it took a while for them to get that benefit of the doubt back,
Yeah.
and I really worry about the public perception, with the way that they communicate their patch notes, with the way that these stories are being written. Like, for example, the gold exploit that happened last week, which has now been fixed. They reopened, things like that. And then the server transfers before that, where people were waiting hours to get into the game, which is a good problem to have, but still a problem. Like, it was the punchline to a lot of jokes with a lot of people who weren't playing New World and were just like, oh yeah, what were you playing? Q Simulator,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's, again, that goes to my nervousness about what kind of support this game is getting. So yeah, I'm with you on that. They need to put a couple of faces to the team and put them out there in the open so that they could openly communicate what's actually going on. And big thing, and I know you agree with me because I've heard you say it, they need a content roadmap. Like, anything, 3-month roadmap, anything would be really helpful, just to, not that we need the content, not that it's something that is we deserve or anything like that, but it's a PR move to say,
Yeah.
we do have some stuff coming, here's the roadmap. Even if some of it's pie in the sky 2023, if you throw it on a timeline, at least we know you're looking that far ahead,
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And during the open beta, some of the developers came out and said, soon after launch they were going to have a content roadmap live stream, and then they have been just radio silent on it since then. So I would love to see them make good on that,
Yeah.
make some kind of announcement, say, hey, middle of November, beginning of December, we're going to have this roadmap live stream, and just kind of show what the upcoming year of content for New World looks like. Through like game leaks and data mining and things like that, we know what some of the things that they're working on. They've already said they're working on 5 or 6 more dungeons. There's an unreleased area north of Ebonscale Reach that is going to be coming out. But we don't know what the timeline is on those. If it's like a 6 months kind of thing, if it's a year and a half kind of thing. So
do we know if it's paid?
They haven't said. I don't believe that it is. I believe it's just additional content added to the game.
If you zoom out of the current map, you could see how much real estate is in this world, like for you to actually explore. And I really worry that we're gonna have to pay more money. For that stuff.
The nice thing is, unlike most other MMOs on the market, there's not a monthly subscription fee. So
right.
I understand they need to make their money one way or another. The game was $40. If they put out an expansion every year, every other year, that's $40. I would be okay with that instead of paying $15 a month to play the game.
Right.
So I don't know. They haven't really.
Sorry. Would you rather have longer waiting periods for larger content, or would you rather have smaller, every, like how Apex does it,
Sure. I think they can do both. Kind of take the Destiny approach where you have seasons where maybe they release a new weapon. They've already said the Void Gauntlet is going to be coming relatively quick after launch. So you can do smaller content drops like a weapon, like a new elite zone or an in-game event or something, and have that run every 3 months, and then have bigger content drops every year,
sure.
Every 18 months, something like that.
Right.
That'll add a new area, new dungeons, things like that.
Yeah.
So personally, I would love if they took that approach. Kind of go the Destiny model, minus the removal of content after a certain amount of time.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Good God Almighty. All right, what else we got?
Yeah. The last thing from News World here is this last week, Amazon Game Studios activated Outpost Rush for good, hopefully. Now, we were talking a little bit before the podcast. You haven't played Outpost Rush. That's a 60 plus event. So I'll kind of give you the rundown of what that is. Outpost Rush is a PvPvE type of content. It's 20v20, and it works a lot like a MOBA. You've got 3 lanes with 3 different control points. It's like a mix between a MOBA and like domination in Call of Duty, where you're holding down these 3 points. The more points you hold, the more points your team gets, right?
Okay.
So they finally reactivated that this last week. And I've played a bunch of it, and it's really fun when it works well. Now, the same issues that plague war PvP are still persistent here. AoE heals are really, really strong. You've got invulnerability exploits. You've got the hatchet bug that's causing issues. So all of those can be very frustrating. But when you get into a good game and it's close and you don't feel like people are exploiting bugs and things like that, the game mode is a blast. And on top of that, it's very rewarding. You get a chest at the end that always has some decent gear in there. It can drop legendary gear pieces. You get gold, you get Azoth. Like, it's a great way to kill some time, practice your PvP in a less stressful environment than a war. And it is, very rewarding for the time that you put in. So far, 2 thumbs up from me for Outpost Rush. The biggest things they need to work on are things that plague the game as a whole. I don't think there are really that many issues with Outpost Rush as a game mode right now.
Cool. I wish they had some more PvE stuff to do.
Yeah.
Aside from just, collect these and kill that and find this and whatever. But I digress. We'll see. I'm sure their first major update is going to have something for that PvE exploration. Now let's get into another little section here, and this is going to be where your expertise really comes out. Tips and tricks. Now, or Taylor, sorry, Perjur's your stage name.
Yeah.
You have a lot of these. So yes. I'm very curious to know which one you're bringing to the table today.
Okay. Yeah, and if you guys want to follow along with all of these tips and tricks, I post 4 to 6 times a week on TikTok, just New World tips. So you can follow me over there at It's Perjur. The one today is one that I haven't posted on TikTok yet, Steve. I have this one scheduled for Monday. So you get a little sneak peek of Monday's Moneymaker series. You get a daily bonus for doing your faction quest, Steven. For the first 3 faction quests every day, you get 10 times rewards, including gold, XP, faction rep, and tokens.
Ooh.
So that means a PvE faction quest that would normally give you 20 gold actually gives you 200. I am paying my rent with this every single week. It's the best thing that you can do without having to worry about the market to make easy money. And to maximize value on this, I have found that high-level Elite Zone faction quests are the ones that pay out the most if you're just looking to make some coin. So definitely look for, Shattered Mountain, Great Cleave, Eden's Grove, Reekwater, things like that.
Okay.
And that is your tip or trick of the week.
So now we're going to do something that's not on the dock, but it's for something very quick. I would like for you to give a New World player a tip and trick for when they get started.
Okay. For brand new players, the biggest thing is while you're leveling, don't split your attribute points between too many things. I've talked to a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'll put 2 in strength and 1 in constitution, and then the next time I level up, I'll put 2 in dexterity and 1 in intelligence. Focus on your primary damage dealing stat while you're leveling, and just put points into that. That's going to be the easiest way for you to get through content, especially if you're playing solo, to be able to deal some damage, get through the stuff, and not get clapped when you're going to new zones.
Indeed. Well, Taylor, I think that's going to bring us to the end, because we kind of, sprinkled our stories throughout the, yes. But maybe next week we'll have some specific stories from the New World to speak about and our experience, and hopefully you and I will actually get to play together, because I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that server transfer, and you'll help me get up to level 60 so we can just do all that silly content. Very exciting stuff. Folks, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you want to listen to us on YouTube, you can also do that. We're on youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. Excuse me. You could also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like our Patreon producers, Colton the Apprentice Nestler, Vegas Girl on Fire, and FNH Paul. We cannot continue to grow without all of your support, so thank you so very much. And again, the show, if you want to look for it, it's Faction Wars, a New World podcast. Tell your friends about it. Are you obsessed with New World? Write into us. You can actually write into us. You can write into Taylor at ndspodcast.com. It's simple. Send in your questions. That's
Taylar. My mom doesn't know how to spell.
Taylor.
At ndspodcast.com.
Like I always say, you sound like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain.
Yep.
Taylor. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And as always, be excellent to each other.